Hello, ladies. Welcome to my channel, We Do. And today I have a special guest with me, Nicole. This woman is phenomenal. She really does wear a lot of hats. She's a piano teacher, she's in the pharmaceutical business, and she does real estate. I'll just ask Nicole to please Nicole, tell us your story. So, you are?
Yeah, so I'm Nicole. I'm 41 years old. I'm a single woman. I live in Brampton, Ontario. I grew up in Regina, Saskatchewan, so I'm from the prairies. I lived there for 20 years, so I've lived half my life in Saskatchewan, and I lived the other half here. I left Saskatchewan just because I felt like I was kind of waiting to exhale a little bit, I guess. Not like the movie, but like I just felt like I was kind of growing out of it. And I wanted to spread my wings a little further. So I moved to what I thought was the big city of Guelph, Ontario.
Bigger than the prairies for sure.
I read that it was just outside of Toronto, and when I got there, I looked up my mom. She was with me, and I said, do I have to stay? So I came there to finish my university degree. So I was studying science at the time. And yeah, so I graduated with a science degree. I work in pharmaceutical research now because after I did science, I did a postgrad in clinical research at Humber College. And I know you through music. I used to have a music school as well. So I had a full-time job as well as a full-time business. Pharmaceuticals is what I do. Music is what I love. I love to teach. I love to see the kids learn. And I love to express myself through my music. So I did have a music school, and then a little bit else about me is I like to dabble in real estate a bit. I'm a firm believer in working hard, but also making your money work for you. Yes. I've had a number of investment properties over the years. I think I've purchased maybe 5 or 6. I purchased my first house when I was 23. And so right now I'm in this house. It is a live and work townhouse. So the top is my house. It's a 3-bedroom house. It's got a living room, a family room, but then downstairs is a commercial unit. So I used to have a music school down there. That's where it was birthed. But now I have a tenant downstairs, and I also have a condo in Vaughan that I rent out, that I purchased in 20.
So you really do wear a lot of hats. And
somebody today was asking me about my tenant, and then my friend was like, no, not that tenant, the other tenant. And I said, wow, I'm a landlord. Like, it's so weird because, it's something that I do, but I don't really think about it. So,
well, now I'm going to ask you a few questions because I didn't know you were a landlord. But I want to back up to Saskatchewan because this is new too. So, yeah. Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
How did you? I'm assuming you grew there with your mom. Did you feel different outside? I know you said you kind of wanted something different, but growing up, did you feel like you fit in? Or was it?
Yeah. So honestly, no, we didn't always feel like we fit in, but we didn't know. But at the same time, like we didn't really know that we were different either. I think that in Saskatchewan, even though people treat you differently because it's mainly a Caucasian demographic. They were more curious, like, does your hair grow out of your head in those braids? Or, if my mom sent me to school with like a roti or like some kind of Caribbean dish, they said, can I smell that? Like, what is that? But they were never really mean to us. They were just trying to understand. A couple of times I did feel excluded. We used to have, like the fun dress up days, so twin day. And I had a sign that said, my twin is in room 6, because that was my sister.
That is too funny.
Yeah, because obviously we weren't going to win, in those kids' eyes. So it was more noticeable when people kind of didn't want to include us because we were, different, because it was like they were trying to kind of figure it out. But then I moved to Ontario and kind of, there's obviously...
Was a culture shock for you when you moved to Ontario?
Definite culture shock. I mean, it was nice to see, the many demographics, and it was nice to see a lot of Black excellence as well, because that was not something that I had, seen as prominently there. But yeah, it differs in different ways. A small town vibe. Obviously, people are a lot more friendly. They actually care when they ask, how are you? Yes. They're waiting to hear the answer. It's not like how,
Yeah, in Ontario, we're in a rush, especially Toronto. If we ask how are you, you don't have to
Yeah,
answer. It's okay.
right.
Yeah.
More like hello. It's not like we don't care.
How was the transition though? I mean, the good thing is you did go to a big city, Guelph, so,
Mhm.
but still, that is very different from growing up in Saskatchewan. What was the transition like for you?
Yeah, so it was honestly different. It made me grateful for being raised in such a small town. Being raised in a small town, obviously, those people of Caribbean descent, they try to kind of really hold on to that culture. So we had like a Caribbean Association, Caribbean Jamaica Independence Dinner and Dance, and so all these people were my aunties and my uncles, and we were all kind of like family. So there's a greater sense of accountability. There were a lot of eyes watching us. And I think it was a great place to grow up because, living there until I was 20 years old, I didn't really get into a lot of trouble. Like I said, it was very community based. So I'm grateful for that. I feel like if I grew up in Toronto, it might have been a little different. People are a lot busier. Parents are a lot busier. I see it even, in the when I had music school and just, with my friends and stuff, people work a lot harder to make a living here. Um,
Yes,
so
definitely.
yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm grateful.
yeah, and yes, people do work a lot. It's kind of like going from here to New York. You'll see the huge difference.
Yeah,
It's always on the hustle in New York. I'm guessing coming from Saskatchewan to here, this is the hustle, right? But I'm going to
absolutely.
ask you though. So we're talking about, so you study science. I'm assuming at some point in your life you were doing music. Did you
Mhm.
one day think, hey, I want to do something more with this? Or it was just, I know you said you like kids, or you're like, you know what, I really like to play piano. I'm gonna
Yeah.
teach.
Yeah, so twofold. I've always kind of had a very entrepreneurial spirit. So I was the kid with the lemonade stand that made sure my sister wasn't stealing money out of it. But when I was, about in the eighth grade, I used to do my piano lessons as group lessons, and they used to take place before school started. So my teacher would actually come, and there would be maybe about 10 kids in the room, and we would each get maybe 15 minutes at the piano, something like that. And because I was one of the oldest and the best, not the best, but yeah, I think I was the best.
It's okay.
She used to be kind of like as a teacher's helper, so I would help her a lot. And then I realized like I enjoyed watching the students learning. I enjoyed seeing them kind of transition from not understanding to understanding. And then there's that little hustler side of me as well. So when, I became 15 years old, I went to the community centers and put up a sign for piano lessons, and you just rip off the phone number so you can call me. So I had two students from there. It was and I started teaching them when I was 15 years old. And then from there, I just realized it was something that I love to do. I love children. I love connecting with them. So it just blossomed from there. I started teaching from home. When I moved here to Ontario, I taught from home. I helped with choirs at the church. And then eventually I had like a bigger, I'm always thinking bigger. And I thought, how nice would it be to have a space in my house where, the students could come and learn, and it was separate from my living area. And then it led me to find this property that I live in now. It's a live and work townhome. So I started a music school in the commercial space in the back. I liked that as I wasn't paying rent to anybody. I purchased the property. And I had maybe we started with 3 classrooms, and when we got busier, we changed it up to 4. And I hired some teachers, so piano, guitar, drums, singing, violin, clarinet. And it started as a small music school. It got a little larger. We went to another commercial space, and I ran a music school. I owned and operated it for probably 8 years, and that's how I came to meet some lovely people like you. You came in asking
Yep.
about piano lessons for your kids.
Yes.
Yeah, and the rest is history. So I owned the school for quite a long time, and I sold it maybe 2 or 3 years ago because things were just getting very hectic for me.
Well, you know what I thought was quite because I mean I live in the area and I'm looking for a music school, and this music school came and I was really excited. And my area is not very diverse in terms of culture. Um,
Yeah.
so either ways, the kids were going to the music school. I was looking for something, and then this young girl that looked like Soleil, like my daughter, and looked like us, showed up. And I thought you were a teacher, right? And you're like, oh no, I'm Nicole, I'm the music school owner. And I was like, oh my God. So I called everybody. I'm like, you should see the music school teacher. She's one of us, and she's young. And she said,
Yeah.
well, Because my idea of music teacher, I mean, I grew up in Grenada. I came here at 19. And I took
Okay.
piano lessons myself. But my music teacher is an old, or was an old lady. You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how it was growing up. The old ladies teach
Yeah.
piano. It's not, you don't see a young girl doing it, right? So
No,
that
you
was very
don't.
refreshing for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk. How do you, because I know when you had the music school, you taught adults, you taught kids. How do you switch it up? I look at you teaching my son, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you have to
Yeah.
have patience. You know, he's a
Yeah.
5-year-old rolling when he's tired. How do you, people who
Yeah.
teach in primary classes and like SK and stuff, that's their job all day, right? To teach SK kids. But you have a full-time job where you deal with adults. You teach adults, and then you have a 3-4 years rolling on the floor. How do you
Yeah.
manage it?
That's
Where do
right.
you
Yeah.
get patience from?
hmm I think that's such a good point, and I think that's what I love about life. There's all kinds of different people, and I find that you just have to meet people where they are. So, you talk about Sky, your son, he's 5 years old, and I have him playing C rest, C rest, C C C, and as long as he's doing that, that's actually great. That's what he should be doing at his age. He needs to be able to follow instructions. He needs to be able to learn. He needs to understand what the music means, right? And then your daughter, she's older, so she'll be kind of ripping all up the piano, if she's really practicing. But I really like to just kind of, meet people where they are, explain things to them on their level. And I think that's part of the magic of learning, like even the kids, sometimes if they're playing something and it sounds boring, I explain to them, like, how would you feel if I said, hi, my name is Nicole. I had a really exciting day today. Like, it was the best day. So if they don't understand what I'm saying when it comes to dynamics and crescendo, decrescendo, I break it down to them like that. And I say, how did you just feel listening to me? I was bored, Miss Nicole. Yeah, that's how I feel too. So let's make it exciting. You just kind of meet them where they are. So
You should be a teacher. I mean, go to be a teacher in a school somewhere because you got it down pat. So
the kids are much more easy to deal with than the adults. Trust me.
yeah, because I guess they do listen, right? We already came with her prejudgments, all the
Yeah,
misconceptions and all our ideas, and we kind of stuck in our ways for the most part.
right. Even some parents, not you, but I'm just saying some of the parents, honestly, if it weren't for them, their children would be learning a lot faster, even in the classes. And it's hard for me as a teacher to say that. But I'll be, like I said, for example, maybe I want the child to understand the notes, like, okay, C, D, this is what they are, because I can see as a teacher, they're having trouble, learning the notes or whatever. And the parents are in the back, no, you got to play it faster in time. And I'm thinking like, no, that's not what we're doing right now, actually. Like, you just need to, you go up there.
And so you don't bring the parents in the class.
Yes. And then I have some of them, like the kids really don't want to be there at all. And they come and their parents are wasting their money every week. And I'm a very honest teacher. Like if, let's say 2 weeks passes and they're not progressing, I will say, I'm the kind of teacher that will have the students sit down, and this has happened before. They might start playing for the lesson, and then I'll say, okay, show me your other song. If they're not ready, I'll say, you know what? That's okay. Just pack it in. Let's go. You're all done. That happened to me a couple of times. The students
don't waste anybody's time. Yours, mine.
no, go tell your mom you're done, because I respect people and their money too. Like waste time, my time, or your parents' money. And so sometimes it's awkward because the kids really don't want to be there, and I'm trying to explain the kid to the parents like you're wasting money. And then on the flip side, I have a lot of students who are exceptionally talented, and then the parents will say, oh, we're just going to take a break, and then they never come back again. And I'm thinking like,
Yes.
you don't know the gift that's inside of them. So
Yes. So I'm gonna ask you though, because you said you had the music school, and it's sort of because the business grew. What caused you to scale back? Was it interfering with the other things that you like to do, or your career? What caused the scaling back and going back into something small?
yeah, so for me, I've always kind of like been not satisfied like with what life gives you. A job says, okay, this is the max amount of money that you're going to make. And so, I thought I wanted to do something more. Like I said, I love to see the teachers teach. I love to see the students learn. And for me, it was just becoming very stressful, having a stressful job all day, and then, dealing with students from, 4 o'clock up until 9 o'clock at night, and then dealing with the paperwork, and I'm the janitor, and I'm the advertiser, and I'm the manager. It was a lot, and I realized that it was taking a toll on my spirit and like who I was as a person. And my friend explained to me, and I said, but what is everyone going to think if I sell this school? I'm the girl at the school. That's how everybody knows me. And my friend, he said to me, he was like, you are the girl at the school. He's like, but right now, for the past few years, you haven't been the nice girl with the school. And I thought,
self-preservation.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know what? It is true. And one of my guests, I think my first guest had mentioned something to that effect. Sometimes you really have to step back, and it's not about, because you can't give too much of yourself when you're not healing yourself and you're not taking care of yourself. Then you're becoming someone you don't even know, right? So it's better to be the nice girl with the school.
Yeah. Loving what I was doing, I realized that I love to teach. Like, I love to teach so much. Now it's not even about like the money. I have a career, I have a job, I make money. Sometimes people will forget to pay. I don't even remember. Like, I just really love to see them learn. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking in general. And it could be like, it's like, I just love to see the kids learn. But what I realized was managing a school, it's different than just being a teacher, because I have to manage employees when they're calling saying their car broke down or their tummy hurts, or, parents 2 minutes before the class, they're canceling and they want to know, well, why do I have to pay when I have a teacher that I've contracted who's sitting there who I have to pay?
Yes, yes.
So it was just, I wasn't loving what I was doing.
See, I guess because the passion is to teach it. It's not running the business per se. So now you're in your element. You like to teach, and you're doing that, exactly that.
Yeah. So now I work from home now. I've got maybe 10 or 12, maybe a few more students that I teach from home. And I love it that way. It's intimate. We have like a good relationships. We have fun, we're focused. And so that's what I'm doing now. So I'm still teaching. And like I mentioned, I have, it's a live and work townhome. This is where my school started. So the bottom is actually a store. So when I did move the school out, I started to rent that store out. Now there's an accountant, really nice lady, a couple, husband-wife team, and they rent this space for me.
So I've seen, okay. So I'm going to ask you, I'm sure everybody asks, you're a drop dead gorgeous woman, I think, and, and you're a businesswoman and you're doing well by yourself. And do you find it difficult though? And I've heard the term thrown around a lot, about being a strong woman and, career-oriented women, and relationships and stuff like that. Do you find it difficult to step out there and find the perfect person, being in charge of all your things yourself? You're financially empowering yourself. You're not dependent on someone. So what is that like? Is it difficult for you to date or to meet someone, or when you meet someone, the conversation piece out?
I think it's definitely difficult for some reasons. First being, and I don't have a lot of things, but I think I'm established. I have my home, I have a condo, I have the store downstairs. So I have 3 kind of units that I own and rent out 2 of them. So the first thing is, you never really want, sometimes I'm a little bit nervous. Like, do I tell people like what I have? Like, I hope they're not being opportunists, which is not usually the case, but the thoughts do run across my mind. But more so than that, just being an independent woman and somebody who's just had to figure it out, as being a single woman, it's often difficult, or I find challenges sometimes in relationships where I kind of want to be the take charge one, and it's like, no.
Because you're used to that, taking charge of your things and yourself, right?
Yeah, and a perfect example was a few years ago, I went to a wedding in the Dominican Republic with somebody that I was dating at the time. And what had happened was we were going through the airport security, and after they did the security, he said, okay, I'm going to put your passport and my boarding pass in his pocket. And he just had on like sweatpants, right? I said, no, I'll hang on to it. But the reason why I said that is because I've seen too many stories of people that I know, including family members, who've traveled abroad, lost their passport, lost this, lost that, and then they're stranded. Like, so when I'm traveling, there's like checklists of things that I have to have. I have to know where my passport, my keys, my phone, and my money is, because those are the key things. Anything else, I can replace. So I said no, and I noticed after that he was getting testy. I said, I just want to put it in my backpack where I can zip it up. And then I said to him, why are you being like so upset with me? And he said, Nicole, he goes, you're not a woman that comes across as needing a lot. He's like, you do everything for yourself. He goes, I just wanted to do something for you. He's like, it's like he wanted to be needed, right? And in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, like I understood, right? What he was saying. But then ironically, after we got our bags and everything, we were walking across this long tarmac to the bus. You know, they have the tour buses that take you to your resort. But he was maybe about 10 feet ahead of me. And guess what happened? His passport dropped out of his pocket just as I thought that it was going to. It dropped right.
I hope you didn't say I told you so.
I said, oh, Lord, I don't want to have to tell the man I told him so. So I just kept walking. He was walking. I walked right on top of the passport. I kept walking, and then I'm kind of looking back. And then I was like, oh, somebody's passport dropped. Is that your passport? He said, oh, yeah.
So then, by then he understood. But so you did the right thing.
Yeah.
But I guess I get where he's coming from. And yes, as an independent woman, and sometimes I realize it's not even intentional. That's how you program your life. You're used to these things, and this is the person you've become because you've worked that way. You may have not been this successful or became this person because, so it's sometimes, yes, you really have to let go and scale back. And
yeah,
maybe it's simple things like let someone carry your passport. In this case, it didn't work out, so you did the right thing. So
next time.
No. Always carry your passport, clearly, okay? So I'm going to ask though, tell me about mindset change, because so COVID came, you're teaching kids at home. I know you started to do Zoom with the kids. Was that something you had considered first, or you're like, okay, this is not going anywhere? Or how do you, the mindset, how do we work
at
with
first
that?
I thought, okay, maybe we can just take a pause, because we thought the pandemic was going to last for a couple of months, and here we are over a year later, still in our living rooms. But no, I definitely, you have to adapt, you have to be agile, and I think that's just part of life. And I read something, and it really resounded with me, and it said, your gifts and your talents are not tied to a physical address. Your gifts and your talents are within you, right? So stop saying that 2020 is not going to be my year. It may look a little bit different, but it can still be your year. And I said, you know what? You're right. Okay, and you just have to kind of learn to pivot and to adapt.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all my viewers. Once again, remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember if you have a story you want to share, please reach out to me. If you have any comments, please put it there. Thank you, and thank you very much, Nicole. I feel very blessed today.
Thank you for having me. Congratulations on this platform. It's really interesting. I watched some of the episodes already, and I really enjoyed them.